My son, who was 6, came to me and told me that he wanted to kill himself. If you tell me that I can't do something, I will do it.
Sometimes entrepreneurship can be brutal.
It's hard. Everyone walks around with an invisible backpack. Be rootless, relentless in the pursuit of greatness.
Welcome to the Mental Health Coffee Break, a podcast where we slow down just enough to have honest, human conversation about mental health, leadership, and the people who are pushing boundaries to change how care is delivered. Today, we are sitting down with someone who embodies that boundary-pushing spirit, someone who is challenging outdated models, embracing innovation with intention, and reimagining how mental health care reaches children and families. One child, one family, one system at a time. This is what we're going to explore today with Hafeezah Muhammad, founder and CEO of Backpack Healthcare. Welcome to the first episode of this podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so happy to be here. And first, I want to just acknowledge that thinking about all the kids who don't get access to care is something that's, really sad. And I'm happy that you have this podcast. And I'm actually happy that I'm having real coffee because I was not expecting to have real coffee and I really needed it. But if it's okay, just give me 1 second so I could take a quick sip of my coffee.
Of course.
So we can get ready for the energy that's coming.
So before we go, a little bit deeper in the conversation, I like to start with something very simple and personal. How would you introduce yourself and Backpack in your own words to someone who's hearing about it for the very first time?
Backpack is a mental health company for kids and families who are sometimes forgotten.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as someone that never gives up. And if you tell me that I can't do something, I will do it.
I absolutely do know that about you, and I admire that. Hafeezah, you've built one of the most impressive company in mental health, not just for the growth, all the states you've entered, the tech, but also for all the heart and intention you put behind pushing the status quo. When you think back to the first spark that you had when you created Backpack, what was happening in your world and what was happening in your heart that made you say, I need to do something about it?
Yeah. So Backpack came from a very personal place. In October of 2020, my son, who was 6, came to me and told me that he wanted to kill himself. My heart broke. I didn't see it coming. Because of disability, he was on Medicaid. At the time, I was at a national mental health company and we didn't accept Medicaid. And as I looked for someone that can help him that would take his insurance, I couldn't find that person that can deliver that high quality care that I would expect. And then when I couldn't find that person, I also started looking and I was shocked to find out that more than half of the kids in the US had the type of insurance that he had.
Yeah.
And if it's just so many kids like him couldn't get care, I wanted them to have the care that I dreamed of. And I left and I started Backpack, and that's why we started. He's 11 now. He's doing well. Wow. And I just wanted to always share that. We call him our chief child innovator.
Oh, I love that.
But he's doing well now.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. And I love how you say you wanted to create a dream system to reply to that problem. That is so beautiful. What made you go from a initial spark, an idea, to I'm going to leave my corporate job and take that risk? What was your journey as an entrepreneur?
So the journey was very interesting. So I hadn't started a business before, but early on, as when I was young, my parents had a business that sold T-shirts to customers. I always felt like I wanted to start something, but as I got older, I wanted something that was meaningful, and I never found that something that mattered. And I wanted something that I can attach myself to, no matter the circumstances, that I know I would never give up. And I actually found that in the mental health, because every time I thought about the problem, I thought about the child behind the problem, and that kept me going and kept me motivated, and made me like feel that relentlessness to ensure that it worked.
It's all about the human behind
The
at the end
human
of the day.
behind it.
I love that. It's so beautiful. So you went from the idea, deciding to do something about it, to now having, a business. And Hafeezah, you and I, we know that scaling a healthcare business is incredibly tough. I knew you were going to laugh because
Oh my goodness.
no, we know
Yes.
it is extremely tough. But building a business with focus on children, operating within Medicaid, working public system, while still leading with heart and innovation, that is on another level, right? Like you didn't make things easy for yourself, Hafeezah. What has been throughout your journey the most difficult moment, and how did you find the strengths to go through it and also to leverage innovation and creativity throughout this journey?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of difficult moments that you go through as a building a company,
Yeah.
and I will actually share like two difficult moments. I remember early on coming to the point where we had this set of twins that was getting ready to go through the juvenile justice system.
Yeah.
And they had an opportunity for us to be able to help them and help give them a better life. And that was a time where, as you start a company, you need to have funding to continue. And that time we were running into issues and opportunities where we weren't able to get, we were not like raising capital or hasn't had the opportunity to raise capital. So remembering those twins at that moment made me realize that, wow, I have to do something different. Because if we're not able to help them, am I building new tools that if something was to happen, do they have something that they can continue on, that they can be able to get some self-sufficient support? And when I asked those questions, I actually realized that we didn't have a lot of innovation that people can be self-sufficient if something was to happen, that there's something that they can continue support. And thinking about those kids like really pushed me to be able to think about, how do I innovate? How can I innovate faster? How do I help with my therapist burnout? How do I keep going and finding ways and opportunities to make a difference and make an impact? And I would say that was one of those difficult moments of seeing that it's not even a dream, but the why could end. But then the impact it would have on someone who I know their life would have changed forever.
Now we are, a mental health podcast. So I have to ask you, that next question. And I always want to ask that question to people who are working around mental health. You are a carer, I know, for your family, for your mom, for your kids, but also for thousands of kids through Backpack. But you also work in a very tough environment, right? Like sometimes entrepreneurship can be brutal. How do you protect your energy and your own mental health to be there for other people? In one sentence, how does the carer take care of herself?
Ooh, I would tell you that it's a struggle, like finding like that balance. Last year, like I had a really tough moment. And me and my siblings were very, very close. And just because I'm in the field, like having the awareness of knowing like when you're getting to that point where you feel that you could break. And I reached out to my siblings and I said, hey guys, I'm struggling. I need help. I need you guys to come support me. And within 2 days, my sister flew from the Virgin Islands, came to my house in Maryland and was there to support me as I was getting through that moment. And just having that support system really meant a lot. And then it made me realize that, how do we help build better support systems? And it's one of those things to know when you get to your point that who do you have around you to reach out for help, and never be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love how you put the emphasis on having a support system. Is that something that you already had and were you already aware of before you started Backpack? Or is that something through your journey that you realize it is so important to have one?
I would say that as the oldest out of my siblings, everyone looked up to me as a strong person. And carrying that pressure was really interesting because I never wanted to be the person that was always strong. I wanted my siblings to know that I'm not perfect. I have my moments, And as I went through the journey, I realized that I can share stuff with them.
So on top of being actually a very human company, what I love about Backpack is how you've been able to leverage technology so far to achieve, amazing things. And it was really, technology was really at the core of the company. Can you maybe tell us more, how does Backpack use technology to redefine how care is provided to children?
So one thing I would say is that over my last planning session, I pulled up the very first pitch deck of
Yeah.
Backpack 5 years ago.
Wow.
I think actually 5 years ago. And looking at the first pitch deck, one thing I had on the deck, ironically, was AI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was really funny because everyone was like, wow, this was like in the
Yes.
very beginning before everyone talked about AI. Because coming from a large corporation, I said that I started seeing like the paperwork my therapists were doing, and I'm not a therapist, and I was shocked that you spent, you're in 30 sessions a week, and then you get home, and then you still have to spend 30 hours of documenting. You're dealing with 30 people a week that's struggling with their mental health.
Yeah.
And I taught about their burnout and, taught about different tools. And that was one of the first things I wanted to help solve for those who are caring for others, is
Yeah.
that how do I make their lives easier to help them, reduce the administrative burden that they're struggling with, but also ensuring that they were the one that designed it.
How do you make sure that Backpack is pushing boundaries when it comes to that part of tech? Stay at the forefront rather than, just being reactive to trends. How do you make sure that you stay in that position?
AI is not the one that's going to tell them and encourage them to do that, where we've seen in a lot of in the news and
Yeah.
a lot of cases of those stuff happening. And I said, if I wanted something to work, if I would trust me and my team to build it the right way,
Yeah.
than to be able to trust someone else to do it. And that's how I've always approached AI, is that how can we do it that we're doing it the right way, setting up the right guardrails so that we're able to ensure that we can make a difference and not waiting for someone else to dictate what's the right way to do it.
Really, something that I'm taking away from what you just said, but also what you've been saying, since the beginning, is how you are leveraging technology. You're making this, great business, but you always keep human at the heart of it.
Exactly.
And I've heard you describe in the past Backpack as giving children a place to unpack. Can you tell me, what does that phrase mean to you, not just as a CEO, but also as a woman and as a mother?
I think the approach is always like centered about who you're helping and the why.
Yeah.
Like, with the name Backpack, everyone walks around with an invisible backpack. And the
That's
goal
very
is
true.
to help lighten the load, and everyone can, remember a backpack, right? And if we continue to ensure that we're centered around who we're building it for, the why we're doing it, it's always going to be the top of our minds, so that we can continue to thrive and do it the right way.
Yeah.
And to know that if these kids can thrive in this environment, then they can have a successful adulthood. And I always joke and say that if I had a choice,
Yeah.
that I want to eliminate adult mental health, because we focus on then treating them when they're kids.
I totally agree with that. Now, those two concepts might seems to be, opposite. Technology on one side, compassion on the other side. Do you think those two, and you're kind of proving it with Backpack, but do you think those two can coexist in mental health, technology and compassion?
Absolutely. Like, there's no other field that it has to coexist.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, like, when someone is struggling with their mental health, the things that can happen as a result from that, it's very different than things that can happen if you break your leg, right?
Yeah.
You can go get it casted. But one of the worst things that can happen is a loss of your life,
Yeah.
is not being here, and the pain and the grief your family is going to struggle with. And when you think about that, of being able to do the things the right way and how those two things coexist, is really critical to ensure that you do it right, because there's someone that can lose their life, and we don't want that to happen. And there are times that can happen, and that's why it's so critical to mirror the two together, and it has to coexist in a way that matters, in a way that works, because of the life. And you save one life, you save humanity.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful phrase. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about your journey so far, what led you to that moment. Now let's imagine in 5 years, right? 5 years from now. When someone hears the name Backpack, what do you hope they feel? Not just about the company, but about the impact it has had on children, families, and communities.
I like to visualize that, let's say we had in 5 years from now, we have like a 15-year-old
Yeah.
that has been getting help. I like to always center back on the child. So this 15-year-old that got help from Backpack in 5 years, now they were in high school
Oh,
and now they're in college and they're thriving. They're telling their friends and family, the students who are around them, wow, they're feeling so confident to share the struggles that they've been through, to help other people around them know that it's okay to struggle, but also to know where you can go get help. And they can remember Backpack and remember their invisible backpacks that they have.
yeah.
And they spread the word that would encourage others to seek help and to encourage others to know that they're not alone and that mental health is something that's real and it impacts so many of us.
Wow. I really hope actually that
That's like
this truly happened to you. You said at the beginning that you started Backpack for your kid, for what he was going through. What kind of mental health system and world are you trying to help build for the next generation?
Yeah. For the next generation, I want it to be where just the way that you go every day, every year, you get your physical health checkup,
Yeah.
right? Every year you get it. I want to have mental health be a part of just something that's normal.
Yeah.
That from the time you're a kid, you're 3, 4 year olds, you're learning about coping mechanisms to make you stronger, to make you better. And that's a system I would love to see, that there's not a taboo around mental health, but it's just a part of growing and developing, that you go through your growth stages in life. I remember with my kids, they have the charts that they got this tall, but also they should have charts to say that, wow, did we accomplish these coping skills? They're getting better with that coping skills. So we still have that same trajectory of growth around mental health and behavioral health, the same way that you have it around your growth charts for being getting taller, getting bigger, because the mind controls so much. And with a strong mind, you can be able to accomplish anything.
That would be very beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. I'm going to get some more coffee because this is so good. Like,
Please. So I'd like to close with something a little different, which is actually inspired by a French tradition that we call the Proust questionnaire.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask for a word or to complete a sentence. Give me a word that best describe your journey as an entrepreneur. One word.
Ooh, one word. Oh, they're like so many words and so many inappropriate words that I want to use. But I gotta be myself because I'm gonna use something inappropriate, right?
Say whatever
right.
is on your heart.
Fucking hard.
At least you are honest, and I do think that your honesty will help so many people, as they start this journey. Now, please give me a feeling you hope every child experiences after a Backpack session.
Happiness.
Give me one quality every mental health leader should embody.
Compassion.
I love that.
Yeah.
The future of mental health is
here, innovative, and ready to help the world.
The advice, so complete this sentence, the advice I wish someone had given me when I started Backpack is
that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And every day builds you better for the next day. And it's okay to fail, and failure is inevitable. You will fail, and you're never going to have all the answers, and it's okay. Just never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up. Be rootless, relentless in the pursuit of greatness.
Yes. I think it perfectly embodies who you are as an entrepreneur. Hafeezah, thank you so much for your honesty and your openness and for sitting down with me.
Thank you for the coffee. Like, it's real coffee. I was not expecting it. And I love this coffee chat.
Thank you so much also for pushing boundaries in this space where, it is deeply needed to have people with compassion like you. This was the Mental Health Coffee Break. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. If you would like to learn more about Hafeezah Muhammad and Backpack Healthcare, you can visit their website, hellobackpack.com. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of one another. Thank you.